All right, so this is going to be a review of The Batman. It just came out. I think this might be my first time ever seeing a movie on Thursday. I usually wait till like the weekend or whatever, but I decided to watch it on Thursday at 3. And I didn't think I would be able to get a ticket, but I did. It was full, but like not really packed, right? Like there was still some empty seats and things like that. People, I guess, waiting for the weekend to see it. I'll get into how I feel about it and all that later. It's directed by Matt Reeves. Obviously, Robert Pattinson is playing Batman now. And the story is the Riddler. He kills a mayor early on, and he leaves a riddle for Batman and also some symbols and things to decode and things like that. And basically, the Riddler is like revealing certain things that have been going on in Gotham. I mean, Gotham is a shitty place and pretty much everything. That's why the Batman's around. But he knows about certain things and he's trying to bring certain things to light. And he's almost like using the Batman to do so. So it's a crime thriller to try to figure out, who the Riddler is and try to catch him and things like that. But it also is about Batman kind of addressing certain things that were never uncovered before, and kind of confronting certain people for the like corrupt things that they've been doing. All right, so it's I like this movie. I think it's a good movie. I even think it's a really good movie. I'd even say it's maybe the best of the DCEU, or at least my favorite of the DCEU. But I do have some issues, but we'll get to positives first. It's shot really well, really impressive shots, uses lighting really well. It really brings Gotham to life better than anything else I've seen, maybe even The Dark Knight. So that definitely works. I will say, I don't really like the out of focus thing going on. Like there's something that happens in a car and the whole thing is out of focus for a couple minutes, and I was like, okay, this is going on too long. Really, it doesn't even need to be there. I just don't like that. I know it's a stylistic choice, but I didn't really care for it. But other than that, I thought the movie was pretty beautiful. Like you could definitely just kind of put it on and just watch it and not even pay attention to what's going on and still enjoy looking at it. I think all the performances are good, especially I think Zoe Kravitz is good as Catwoman. Jeffrey Wright as Gordon. I think he really captures it, and they definitely have this almost like they're partners really. Batman and Gordon in this, and I think that works really well. Colin Farrell like completely disappears as Penguin, disappears in this role, and it was a little bit ridiculous early on, but I got used to it, and I was like, okay, this is a different kind of Penguin where he just is a mobster and he just kind of has a fucked up face, but it for the most part works. I mean, he's hamming it up in certain scenes, like in that scene where with the car chase, but probably the best performance. John Turturro was also really good as Falcone. But the best performance for me, I think, is probably Paul Dano as the Riddler. Uh, the Riddler is probably one of the most interesting parts of this because it is just a crime thriller, pretty much. Like imagine like John Doe from Seven, but like with a question mark, and he's trying to like reveal corruption rather than do the seven deadly sins. I mean, that's what it was mainly for me was a crime thriller. Like we're trying to find this guy. Yeah, he has this whole thing going on. He's a domestic terrorist for the most part, and he's revealing certain things that yeah probably definitely do need to be addressed. But he needs to be stopped, and we got to figure out who he is by following the clues that he's leaving and things like that. I think it's well written. It definitely has certain like connections. It starts to make certain connections with the Riddler and Batman that I thought was really good, especially by the end. I think the third act is probably the best part of this movie, easily to me. Even if some of the mystery is a little bit predictable. Like if you've seen the trailers, if you've seen pretty much anything, the Riddler's motivation, you could probably guess what it was. Like, cause I did. I was like, okay, this is probably what it is, and that's what it was. I guess that's enough positives. Robert Pattinson, I haven't really mentioned him. His performance is good. I think he's good in the movie, and I did get used to him after a while. Um, but this version of Batman, I don't really care for. I'll be honest about it, right? Like, he doesn't feel like he's been trained to fight and he can take down a bunch of dudes. It feels like he's just flailing his arms around and they just happen to be falling down. It's up in the air what he can do when it comes to gadgets. There's a gadget in here that it's like a contact that sends like a video, I guess, back to the cave. And like that would be ridiculous, even probably in a James Bond movie. That was something. There's a part where he glides. I didn't really care for that too much, but it's as much as I didn't really get a feel for his Batman that much, especially if you're gonna involve him with the rest of the DCEU. Like, stop. Like, it doesn't even work. It doesn't work. The tone doesn't work. His character wouldn't work with the rest of them. Just forget about that. But his Bruce Wayne, especially, because you don't get the duality of him being a playboy or whatever. Puts on the bat suit. He's kicking ass, right? He's tortured, but he doesn't really show it when he's Bruce Wayne, right? Kind of to help throw off the scent so nobody would suspect that he was Batman, right? There's none of that here, right? He walks around with the eyeliner, he's got the bangs on his face, looking real emo, especially when he's talking to Alfred early on. And I was like, wow, it doesn't, like, he's already pretty emo, and I think too emo for Batman, but here he almost looks like he's like he's going through his emo phase at like 13 or 14 or something. Like, he's like a teenager, and it wasn't working for me, especially with them having their emotional moment later on. It didn't work because of that. I just don't think that this Bruce Wayne / Batman was all that great, right? And I said the action scenes are really nothing to be excited about. If that's what you really want to see Batman kick some ass, it's not very good. It's not well choreographed. It almost doesn't feel choreographed at all in certain moments where he's just wailing on them. Really, the first act, I wasn't really caring for it too much, right? Because you have, he's not really working as Batman or Bruce Wayne, but then also it feels like it doesn't really flow very well. It didn't really develop things. Like, I understand we don't want to see the origin of Batman over and over again, but like, it helps to characterize this version of the character. It's almost like they just throw you in, and you're supposed to already be associated with this version of Batman, and it doesn't work because of that. It's almost like, like with Dark Knight, you had Batman Begins before, and this movie definitely takes inspiration from Dark Knight, very much so, with like little videos the Riddler's doing and stuff like that. But it's just, earlier on I was like, okay, this isn't really working. Like, okay, he's just met Catwoman and they're already like doing stuff together. It doesn't feel like it's fleshed out or developed enough with a movie this long. It's damn near 3 hours. It's just, I don't know. Early on, I wasn't really feeling it all that much. I was like, well, wow, like, you're hyping him up to be like this feared Batman, and then he gets in with these guys, and it's like, if enough of them circle around him, if he wasn't in a bulletproof suit, they could probably take him, because none of his fighting is all that impressive. And I don't know, it's just kind of all over the place. It's weird because Robert Pattinson, I saw him on the red carpet, and he looked more like Bruce Wayne on the red carpet than he did in this movie. I was like, what's going on here? The eyeliner thing is really distracting. I don't like that. I think Heath Ledger's Joker alone is better than pretty much everything in here. But if you look at it as just a Seven type crime thriller with Batman and also, Gordon, then I think it actually really works. By the end of it, I think it actually sticks the landing. And I was at a good enough earlier where I was like, you know what, this is fine. By the end, especially with how good that third act was, I'm probably at a just awesome, which is my second to the highest rating. I can't go full on with my highest rating because it was definitely messy in certain areas. Some of the editing was a little weird and jarring. There's a part where he like falls down and loses his cape and everything like that, and it cuts and he's just like normal, just standing on the roof. And there's another thing where it's completely bloodless too, where like somebody gets bludgeoned in the head and there's no blood even on the thing that they were getting hit with. So that was also an issue. Either way, if you look at this and it's just a crime thriller with Batman, I think it works. I think it does, like I said, stick the landing. And yeah, that's it. I'll give it a just awesome. I think it was really good. It's definitely the best movie I've seen this year that's saying absolutely nothing. It's the only positive rating I've given this year. But anyway, yeah, that's the Batman. I am kind of excited to see another one, but if I didn't and it was just this one, I'd probably be okay. But yeah, that's it. Subscribe and all that if you like the video and all that, and we're done.